Hello, friends. In India, we always have the longest holidays as compared to any other country in the world. It starts from much before than Diwali. There is Vijayadashami, then Diwali, then Christmas, then New Year, and the list goes on. After that, there will be another holiday. So, we in India have the best of both worlds, but I think the Christmas is on the horizon. And what is the type of lessons businesses can learn, or the leaders can learn business lessons from Christmas? To discuss this very interesting subject, we will be joined by Mike Bradley from UK, who's the founder and managing director of Scale Up Arena. So without further ado, let's welcome him.
Good afternoon, Chandra. Good to speak to you again. And it's not as cold as it looks in the background there, but that is my local town, Christchurch, which is a very pleasant spot in delightful Dorset on the south coast of England. So good to see you. Good to speak to you again.
Well, Mike, welcome to the show. And the topic is Christmas. And as you know, the entire world is getting into the warmth of Christmas. The celebrations are in the air. Whichever part of the world you are living in, Christmas is being celebrated. So the topic is what the business lessons or leadership lessons we can all learn from Christmas. What is your opinion?
Okay. Well, I think you've mentioned the very first thing, which is warmth. One of the things that's most important about this time of year, I believe, is having a positive spirit towards other people. And this, I think, is one of the most fundamental leadership skills and approaches that leaders need to have. You need to have a positive spirit towards people. If you've got a different approach to that, it might last in the short term, but over the long term, you can guarantee that's not going to sustain not either your business or your personality in a positive way. Inevitably, I think the term is what goes around comes around. So if you treat people in a positive way, I believe that will come back to you in a positive way. Some people call it karma, I think. And I do believe that's the first important thing we need to draw from the Christmas season is the warmth and the positive approach that we take towards people. That would be the first one. So I don't know if you agree with that.
Well, definitely, I agree with that. Warmth is very important. However, the general feeling in public is that it's a holiday season and nobody wants to talk about business. So here we are, two guys trying to bring some justice to the business lessons. So, what do you talk about it? And what is your opinion? How we can think and lessons that we can learn during this season, even though we are looking towards the holidays?
Well, you see, I think we can split this into two sections. There's what I call the festive and also the faith. So I think both have a potentially positive impact on business leadership. If we think first of all about the festive, of course, we all enjoy this. Doesn't matter where you go in the world, you'll see Christmas trees, you'll see Christmas decorations, and I think there's I like my alliteration. In this case, there's three G's, I think, that are associated with the festive side of Christmas. The first one is gratitude, an attitude of gratitude, which I think is really good. But it's a time when, as leaders, business leaders, individuals, we have the chance to say thank you. And that's something that I think has for many years been fundamental to a good people management approach. There was a book written by Ken Blanchard back in the 1980s called 1 Minute Manager. One of the things that came out of that was you have to have a positive praising approach towards people management. Something I think has been fundamental to my life, working life, political involvement, etc., is to have foster this attitude of gratitude. because if you can encourage people, catch them doing something right, then that is also, it pays back in terms of you'll get more productive and positive benefit from those people. So I think an attitude of gratitude is the first one that comes out, the festive feelings. Then, of course, there's giving. One of the things we do in the UK Christmas is we give gifts, and the act of giving. And of course, there's the Father Christmas story. I don't know if you have that in India, but basically, St. Nicholas, I think this is up in Scandinavia, used to go around giving gifts without expectations of getting anything back. And I think that's another very positive thing that business leaders can gain, is to actually have a giving approach, because there's the term anyway, which is called givers get. If you give things without expectation, I think it's gratefully received. If your return can be in any number of ways. So I think that's the second G of the festive season, gratitude and giving. And then, of course, generosity. And I separate that out from giving, because I believe this is a time when we need to look around us, need to look at the employees, but the people, the community that we live and work in. And it's an opportunity for us to actually be generous to maybe the less fortunate that we all see. And I think that's a responsibility of leaders within this period of the year, but also it sets a good example for the entire year. This doesn't mean you just do these things at Christmas, although that's when we do that sort of approach. But I do believe that these are three areas, three G's that we can implement throughout the world, throughout the year: gratitude, giving, and generosity. What do you think?
Absolutely, Mike. In fact, in India, we celebrate all festivals because of the diversity that exists in this country. So it's not about religion, it's all about celebration. So if you look at the predominant festivals that we have here in India, it's all about celebration. So whatever festival we come across, we start celebrating. So it's not about, it's a question of faith for some, but not too much. And you mentioned about giving. I think that is very, very important. In India, because I come from India, I'll talk about India. In India, the giving is the foremost virtue of society here. So there are always given that we have to give from whatever you're earning. You have to give certain portion to charity, etc., to animals, not to harm anybody. But I think the message is very, very clear with Christmas and the Santa Claus and giving gifts without expecting any returns is what the learning is. Over to you, Mike. This is what my understanding and my short answer to you.
Yeah, that's true, and that is, of course, the festive side, as you rightly say. But I also think there are lessons that the faith side of Christmas can give, no matter what your faith is. I think those of us who do have faith in something, whatever that something happens to be, there are certain characteristics that come out of that. And of course, faith at Christmas for some is the birth of Jesus Christ. Okay, so what can we learn from that? That doesn't mean that it's irrelevant to anybody else of another faith, but the same aspects, I believe, we can transfer and say that they're relevant to anybody who's got a faith. And what are the leadership lessons, business leadership lessons particularly? I think the first one is that there's accountability. When you have a faith, whatever that is, you are answerable to whoever that is that you believe in. And that approach, I believe, provides the right context and right environment for prudent and sensible business management. It means that you don't ride roughshod over people. You treat people with respect. You treat people with compassion. You are in effect accountable. We are all accountable, whether we have a faith or no faith. We're all accountable to somebody, be it shareholders, be it the bank manager, be it, you know. So accountability, I think, is a fundamental one that comes out. And I do believe that faith, whatever faith you have, gives a very good perspective on that accountability. And that leads me on to the second trait that I think business leaders can adopt from this is humility. Believing that we are not the most important person on the earth, the egomaniac, should we say. There's a degree of humility which enables us to optimize the opportunities through people and for any business by having a humble approach. You've heard me talk before about the corporate AAA syndrome, corporate amnesia, forgetting that the customer is important and makes up the spreadsheets, corporate asphyxiation, where they're so high in the clouds, you're not breathing fresh air, not listening to customers, not listening properly to employees, and of course, corporate arrogance, where you think you've arrived and you're always going to be there. These three, corporate AAA, is the opposite, if you like, of having a humble approach to leadership, management, and development. And particularly in these dynamic times, global times, there's no room, I believe, for arrogance. So those business leaders who have a humble approach to what they're doing will keep their ears to the ground, their eyes and ears open, listening for change, adapting to things because they don't think they've arrived. If you look at any sustained technology company over the years, be it Microsoft, be it Apple, be it Amazon, they are in a continual state of change. And they are not changing because the leader has said, we've got to do this. They're changing because the market is demanding those changes. So that is a humble spirit that keeps business leaders, I believe, on the right track. And that's something that very definitely, I think, comes from an attitude of faith, that we're not the most important person on the earth. And then finally, I think the faith gives us leadership by example as the third area, because if leaders demonstrate the right approach, the right values, the right way to treat people, the right humility and accountability, they will demonstrate that to their staff, and hopefully a few of them, maybe 80%, 80-20 rule, if we're lucky, will adopt those same approaches, values in the way they speak to customers and fellow employees and team players, the way they deal with the community. So I do believe that that's the third area that we can learn from the faith side of the Christmas season, which is accountability, humility, and leadership by example.
And I think you also mentioned about the gift. So I'm also concerned about how do you manufacture gift as efficiently as Santa Claus and the elf. So well-oiled machinery running in the North Pole, producing all these gifts. I think that is also another example that your business should be well-oiled, highly motivated, and so that the distribution can also happen across the world by Santa Claus, isn't it, Mike? Just to make a lighter point.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think the distribution network is absolutely vital there as well. I mean, he's got to have a lot of helpers all working for the same goal and the same vision to ensure that he can get around the entire world in this time period. Yeah, very, very definitely. I think there's a good example of leadership there, which we can all learn from, of course.
Well, also it is relevant for everyone, not only kids, that you can wish for a gift and Santa Claus will fulfill that wish. So I think we are running a Six Sigma distribution network here because those gifts are never wrong, isn't it?
There you go. There you go. And of course, we are all given these gifts. So, be they skills, be they expertise, be they natural abilities, be it charisma. These are all things that we can adopt, we can optimize, And they are the positive things that we can draw on as business leaders, both with employees, customers, communities, getting engagement, productivity, performance, and payback in our environments. And as we've spoken about before, we can have these big national goals or global goals like they have at the COP summit, but actually, at the end of the day, it comes down to how we as individuals act and perform, and consequently, we have to ensure that we are doing these things in the best way over the course of our working lives and in our environments, because that's where we can have a most positive impact. So it's not just about what the government they can do or what money they have. It's what are you doing with your resources? What are you doing in terms of gratitude, giving, and generosity? How are you adopting your approach in terms of accountability, humility, and leadership by example? And these are things that we very definitely need to work together. And I do believe that it doesn't matter who you are, whatever your position, these are lessons, these are helpful mantras that can ensure that we're all on the right track. Because at the end of the day, we're all just people. So it's no good us pointing the finger at the politicians and saying it's all their fault, because actually they're only able to act based upon what we as the voters, the activists, actually do locally. And if we don't act properly, then the result's going to be a nationwide catastrophe. So I do believe we've all got a responsibility to act in ways that are wholesome and positive.
Well, Mike, I think you have given a lot of lessons today. Viewers who are watching our program would gather this essence of what you have given us today is very, very important. And it was a pleasure talking to you today, especially on the eve of Christmas. So, wishing you happy holidays and also Merry Christmas. We'll catch up in the next one. Any last thoughts you have for the viewers?
I would just like to say that there's a lot of negativity around at the moment. There's a lot of uncertainty around at the moment. And over this next period of festivities, over the Christmas period, over the New Year period, just enjoy the people and be positive towards those you have around you. Be a positive contributor and look for the best in everybody and try and work with that. And I wish everybody a very happy Christmas and a pleasant New Year.
Thank you, Mike. Wish you the same and catch you next time, next week, same time.
Look forward to it.
So, viewers, we had such a fantastic conversation with Mike, and all festivals actually gave us good feeling, gave us good vibes, and Christmas also gives us very good vibes. So, the learning for us is having humility, leadership by compassion, giving, must get into habit of giving, respecting others, and managing your well-oiled machinery, supply chain, etc. with compassion. So I think these are some of the key lessons that the leadership of today can learn from Christmas. And this is a short message, but I'll catch you in the next one. Wish you happy holidays and Merry Christmas, all of you. Bye bye.